a little after 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern. We're back for another edition of Ask Nick, and I'm excited to be able to connect with everyone today. And we got to get the Instagram rolling here, so give me 2 seconds to get that happening. But I hope everyone's having a great day. Hope everyone is ready to go for this weekend. It's our big weekend here at UNT. It's our Jazz Trombone Day at UNT, and I'm excited to be able to get that finally out into the world. So we'll be broadcasting all day from here, from UNT. Whoops, there we go, come on. Live, go live. We're broadcasting from UNT here, and it's all day from starting at 10 a.m. So 10 a.m. Central Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We are going to be having our Jazz Trombone Day. We are rehearsing this week with the YouTubes, with our guest artists. We are getting all of that together. We're having many of our faculty involved, many students involved. So it's going to be a fantastic, fantastic day. That's on this Saturday. So what's up, Caldera? What's up, Gavin? What's up, Matt? Thanks for joining us. We're talking jazz. We're talking trombone. It's our weekly Q&A here on the channel. So if you are needing a question answered, you want to talk about the concept of jazz music, about any of these things, just making one little adjustment here to the stream. Let's see, stream. All right. Okay, so let's go through. I'm going to just talk about a little bit more about Jazz Trombone Day, what to expect until we get some questions rolling in. So feel free to drop those in the chat. If you are on YouTube, if you're on Instagram, feel free to put them in the comments. Last night we did a fun album release show for the new Out of Focus album. This is the Out of Focus album. If you haven't checked it out yet, it's out now. Came out last Friday. We'll be playing some of that and the opening event on Saturday. So Saturday is my recital, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. We're going to be playing some music from Out of Focus, some other tunes of mine. That's with Chris Teal, great drummer that I know from Eastman, and he lives out here in Texas now. And then Guillermo Lopez and Davey Mooney Davey Mooney is the guitar professor at UNT. So we'll be playing some music. And then we'll have Jeffrey Miller, who's an amazing trombonist in New York, went to Juilliard from New Orleans. And then we've got Con Selmer happening. They're coming to talk about some of the trombones. And then we've got the competition finals. We've got 4 finalists this year. It's going to be really great. 4 finalists, and that's at 1 o'clock till about 2:30. And then at 2:30 we have Ido Mashulam, who's going to be in from LA, doing a master class. Then we've got TJ Norris from New Orleans, jazz trombonist and bass player. Plays with the Dirty Dozen Brass Band. And then from there we'll move to the Oklahoma State University Jazz Trombone Ensemble. And then from there we'll move to the dinner break. And then we'll have the YouTubes with Ido to finish out the day at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. So it'll be a lot of fun. So I see some questions rolling in, so feel free to drop those in as we go through today. I'll be seeing them and answering them as we go. But I see some comments coming on. What's up, Anthony? Thanks for being here. Glad to see you again. John, what time do you start warming up to play at 10 a.m.? Well, guessing that it's going to be crazy, beforehand for this 10 a.m. start. I probably won't warm up until like 5 minutes before, or like literally play 3 notes right before we go and then just hit it. Eventually, at some point in your playing career, you just have to, make a plan for when you have no time to warm up. Some people are really good about waking up early and making time to warm up, but that's not a strength of mine. So most likely I'll find a few minutes to play, but if I don't, then I'll probably just pick up the horn and go. So hopefully it all goes well with that, but we shall see. We shall see what happens. But should be cool. It should be cool. Anthony, just listened to one of your songs from the new record and it sounds great. Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. The new record out of focus from a collection of tunes from all across the pandemic. It took about 18 months before I finally got it all done. In fits and starts, just trying to get the record happening, getting motivation to keep going, with it, and feeling like who knows what was happening with the pandemic, but it's out now. So have that out, and then the next thing that I'm working on is a new record for the sextet, and the sextet is with Jimmy McBride, Dave Barron, Lucas Pino, Alex Wintz, and Glenn Zaleski. We'll be doing a new record of 9 tunes. I've got it pretty much done. There's a couple of tunes left to go to finish up, but hopefully next year we'll be premiering that and recording that, and then the year after that the record will come out probably in early 23 will be that record. But I see some people coming on. What's up, Connor? What's up, Kel, Condori, Yanzoka? Thanks for joining. We're here to talk all things jazz, trombone, and whatever you guys want to chat about, whatever you guys are interested in. I'm here for you. I'm here to answer those type of questions. A couple other things that are happening is that we're still accepting applications for enrolling at UNT in the fall of 22. So if you want to get a degree in jazz trombone and come hang out with me, I know, sounds so fun, doesn't it? We're taking applications for that, so that'll start fall of 22. But I need a TA. I'm looking for a TA, a TF, and our illustrious TA Jack Courtwright is graduating, and he's done a fantastic job. But if you want to find out more information about that at the Masters of DMA level, let me know. Happy to chat about that. All right, here's a question. Are you thinking about making a Christmas album later this year? So the thing about Christmas albums is you have to record them in July or June. And so I missed the boat this year. So every year at this time, like in November, I go, crap, I should have recorded already. And I should have done it. I should have gotten it together. So I've usually done like 1 or 2 tracks, and so there's a couple old bone ensemble tracks. I'm thinking I'm going to do a live stream that's going to result in a track for this year. Just a YouTube track most likely, but I'm going to put together something like almost like with the chord arrangement that I did that turned out into like a four bone thing. I was kind of improvise or come up with an arrangement kind of on the fly and do a live arrangement, live stream, recording, something like that. Maybe one of these Tuesdays I'll do that. Maybe in December, beginning of December, we'll do that together, and you guys can see the process if you log on. So, what's up, Taylor? How's it going? Glad you dig the shirt. Connor asked what Arbin exercises that were most beneficial for you. Yeah, man. Wycliffe made me do this one. It's the characteristic study number 1. Not going to play the whole thing, but so we memorized that and played it a lot faster and transposed it to other keys. So if you want to do that, I don't use the beginning of the Arbin's book much, but the other one that I use sometimes that Marshall talks about, Marshall jokes, is taking this one and putting every other note down an octave. That kind of thing. Otherwise, I've never really been a huge Arbin's book person, so yeah. I don't know if that makes sense. John thinks I'm triggered. What did I get triggered by this time? The Arbin's book question? What's up, Yahweh Francisco? Thanks for joining us. All right, I'm going to pull up some questions in the question area for Instagram. And so now everyone on Instagram knows we're in a Q&A session. So maybe they'll flood in, overwhelming us with questions. Okay, so this question is from Taylor. He says, have you discovered anything recently connecting philosophy and music? Have you discovered anything recently connecting philosophy and music? Since you're a big book reader. Not recently. Over the last 6 months, the pandemic, kind of yes. But, for me, it's letting go and doing less, man. It's stop not having, relinquishing control, these type of things. John was triggered because I made him. John's been taking lessons that I made him do that characteristic study. But see, I can play it too, man. I did it. Wycliffe had to play it all kinds of weird keys. But it's a good one. It kind of compacts a lot of things together. But to go back to Taylor's question, hey Trevor, I'm good. How are you? Just kind of like letting go. I just downloaded. I've tried to get into meditation a bunch of different times. I'm gonna try again. This time I got the Waking Up app from Sam Harris. I'm gonna try that one this time. I've used a couple different apps to try to get into it. Headspace, of course, and I just want to keep doing, and sometimes it's about not doing, kind of letting things roll, letting things kind of take their own course as they will, rather than trying to force a square peg into a round hole, which I'm guilty of many, many times. I've been guilty of that, for sure. Excellent. Name a list of tunes you don't know that you want to be solid at. Oh, man. You Never Entered My Mind. Skylark. I always forget Skylark. What's up, Mr. Mandalorian, joining us? What other tunes that I should know or everyone should know that I want to know? There's a bunch of Chick Corea tunes and Herbie tunes, Chick tunes like, I sort of know them, but the tunes from Now He Sings, Now He Sobs. There's lots of tunes. I always just forget. Detour Ahead is a good ballad. I've been meaning to learn Solitude, Duke Ellington. I don't know, random stuff. I'm kind of at a point where it's like just whatever I'm listening to and hearing play is like stuff I want to know and be able to play. But right now I'm kind of in a composing mode, so I haven't really been learning tunes. I've been writing music, and I just did an arrangement for Saturday's concert of this great duet from Slide Hampton and Curtis Fuller together, doing this tune called Fuss Budget. And so I did an arrangement of that for the YouTubes that we're going to play on Saturday. So I was working on that. It's always just like a bunch of random stuff, man. And I don't know. That's a good question. I don't have a good answer, though. I don't have a good answer of a list of tunes that I want to learn right now. I don't have a list anymore. All right. We'll come back to that one. Who do you model your plunger technique sound after? Love the new album. So Alex, thanks for the question. Appreciate that. So one of my first jazz teachers, first jazz lessons I ever had was with Wycliffe Gordon, and Wycliffe is a master of the plunger, of course. So I would say him, and then he sent me to check out Lawrence Brown and Lawrence Brown's trombone plunger stuff, and of course he's kind of coming after Tricky Sam, and so I guess it's that lineage, that legacy of those three guys mostly. So Wycliffe, Lawrence Brown, and then back to Tricky Sam. What's up, Lucas Pino? What's up, Alton? Those three, and then one of my other teachers, Steve Trey. He was a great plunger player as well, and so those four people are kind of my plunger people, but it's really a vocal thing, man. It's like, Al Gray too. Al Gray, master of the open plunger. So thinking about vocal sounds, vowel sounds, rather than like wah 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 wah. It's all about the vowel sounds and creating like a vocal kind of thing, and not just like it's not movements with the left hand. I think about it in vowel sounds. So we just went through this in a class I teach here with some of the first year jazz majors. Hope that helps. Thanks for checking out the record. Appreciate that. Okay, another question here. Nice to see you that you're busy with music, waiting for some new recordings. Well, you're in luck. There's a new recording that came out on Friday. So that new recording is Out of Focus. If you haven't checked it out yet, it's on streaming, etc., etc., etc. It's a bunch of standards, trombone ensembles, different trombone groupings, and solo stuff. So yeah, that's all happening. It's all happening. And yeah, so Lucas is in my band. I was just talking about all the music I was writing. Hopefully it's not too hard. I don't think so. It's probably too easy. But I got to get some gigs together for next year, 2022, so we can premiere that music. But I'm writing. I'm almost there. I'm writing. It's got like 6 or 7 done out of 9. So it's going to be like a triptych. You guys know what triptych? It's like 3 groupings of 3. I always do this to myself. I just make something too complicated, and then people don't really care, which is fine. But for me, it feels good to compose with some kind of like purpose in mind. You won't be excited, Lucas, once you hear it. I'm kidding. I think I wrote too low for the bass clarinet, though, again. So you're gonna have to help me with that. What's up, Trombone? Daniel Land from Russia. Nice. Thanks for saying what's up. Thanks for joining. Hope you're well. What are you practicing in Russia? Do you practice arbins in Russia? No, we were just talking about arbins. I don't know too many Russian trombone players, so I'm glad you could be here. All right, I'm going to go back. I see some questions down here. Yeah, a bunch of questions here. Taylor asked this question before I lose it. He says, what was the last epiphany you had about something you worked on? Man, I was just, to connect some dots, I stole this arrangement of Smile from Lucas. Smile by Charlie Chaplin, great old song. And so, I mean, a lot of people recorded it, Nat King Cole and Michael Jackson, you know, all the jazz greats. And sometimes I forget about, I was thinking about this chord, so like D over E flat, D triad over E flat, and I forgot that you could just play diminished scale. That was the last epiphany. It's like, oh yeah, just play the diminished scale. Getting too fancy sometimes. Just play the simple stuff. Okay, here's a question from Trevor. Trevor, thanks for being here. Thanks for the question. The question is, if you're on YouTube and Twitch, how do you play longer phrases without running out of air so fast? So that's a really good question. You have to learn to control your air. So you do that by playing long tones, by playing melodies, by playing long melodies, by playing in the upper register long melodies, and trying to control the aperture. So the aperture is the point in your embouchure that actually lets the air come out. So it's like basically like the size of the airstream or the straw, you know. So it's a, you know, the size of the aperture, it's the, you just have to control the rate that it comes out, because if you just go, it all comes out, then you're not going to have any air left to actually do what you were trying to do, you know? So I think that it's important to, you got to learn to control it. So long tones, melodies in the upper register, those are a couple of things that work well for doing, for developing that airflow control. And so you say like, oh, I got to hold it out for 16 beats at this tempo and keep slowing the tempo down. John asked a couple weeks ago about exercises where you might want to slow the tempo down. So one's where you're trying to increase your breath or increase your air capacity or lung capacity. You want to slow down, right? So it gets longer and longer and longer and longer. But a lot of it comes from making sure you're taking a full enough breath. Like if you're only breathing up here and high up in your chest, you're not going to have enough air. If you don't breathe and fill up everywhere, you know, Teray used to talk about filling up like a Coke bottle, right? So you think about down to the bottom, right? Down to the bottom, and then up to the top, kind of fill up from the bottom all the way, So you gotta make sure you fill up, man. So maybe you're not breathing in enough. You know, fill all the way up with air. So I hope that helps you. Okay, let's leave this here. There's some comments coming from the Facebook side, from James Lafferty. What's up, James? I can't do a show this Sunday. Thanks, though. From Richard, what's your process to playing different kinds of modes / sounds? Well, it's really important to... I come from the standpoint of needing to know a lot of things so that you can make informed decisions about what you are creating, what you're using, so what kind of mode or sound. So essentially there's 4 parent scales: major, melodic minor, harmonic major. There's 4. Each one has 7 sounds, and the 7 modes, 7 sounds, and you got to know each one of them. So there's 28, and then there's diminished and augmented, chromatic, whole tone. Those are kind of the main scales. There's other permutations of scales, of course, but that's it, right? So you got the 4 symmetrical, so you got chromatic, whole tone, diminished, and augmented, and then you've got the 4 modes of the parent scales, the diatonic parent scales: major, melodic minor, harmonic major. Those 4. So you got to master them all, and so each one has 7 sounds within it. 7 seventh chords in them. And so I learned the scales both horizontally, like through the scale, the modes, and then also vertically. So I try to arpeggiate each one up to the 13th and back down. So if you go all the way up to the 13th, you're playing the full scale, but just up in thirds. So I hope that helps. So that's what I do. So, and I make the students here, we do at least the major and melodic minor scale workout, so you get familiar with the scales and intervals in each one of those, and then we do like a mode workout where we improvise with each mode of that scale. So all the modes of major, all the modes of melodic minor. It's a lot of work, but you got to go slow, and you got to allow yourself to actually develop a sense of what those sounds are, how to use them. So just one at a time, Richard, one at a time. So do major, then do Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian. You probably know some of these already. And then Locrian. And then you go to the modes of melodic minor. You get melodic minor, and then you get like a sus flat 9 sound. And then you get, I forget the names of them, 3rd, 4th, 6th mode of melodic minor is good for half diminished chords. And you just go through and you just start to know those things. And then you can find other places to use them. So that's how you do it. You got to be a theory nerd a little bit, but really it's about not theory at all. It's about application. Like, how do I use those things? So if you can learn those parent scales and those symmetrical scales, you'll know most of what you need to know. Not just learn them, but be able to play them. What's up, Director Schmidt? What's up, Isaac? Theron Brown. What's up, Atlanta? Miguel, Leo. Do I have a dream collaboration? It was Chick Corea and Herbie Hancock. Now half of that is gone. So Chick Corea, Lionel Lueke, Eric Harland, and a number of basses. It could be any number of bass players. But that would be a thing I'd like to do someday, one of these days. That's with living musicians, of course. Joshua Redman, maybe. Although I don't think I could really play, because I'd be like, oh, that's the sound. I was obsessed with Joshua Redman for a long time in college. Good question. All right, so that's how you practice playing long phrases. Any favorite vocal records? Ben, it's funny? There's a really funny but interesting JJ record called JJ and Voices that has a choir instead of like a string orchestra or something. And it's really, really interesting. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's a really interesting one. There's lots of great vocalists. I'm not a particularly knowledgeable, deeply knowledgeable about jazz vocalists, so I'm not going to try to pull out some deep cut on you, but excellent. All right, we're getting there. We're caught up here. What's up, Lucia? See, just scrolling through to make sure I didn't forget anybody. Excellent. All right, we're good on YouTube. I'm keeping up. Sometimes I just go for too long talking about one thing, and then I miss a whole bunch of other questions. So feel free to drop in those questions. Of course, we're here every week. or we have been at least for a while uninterrupted, with our Ask Nick live stream, doing Q&A, talking trombone, jazz, etc. And promise next week you won't hear anything about Jazz Trombone Day because it's on Saturday. And what else? What are you guys wondering about? What are you guys thinking about? What are you guys practicing? I want to know what you all are practicing, because I'm practicing for this recital on Saturday. What's up, Jairo Silva? Thanks for joining us. I'm working on that. Do you have a specific favorite Count Basie tune? No, not really, but I think there's a couple that are really important to know about, classic. I think it's important to know the styles, like the different styles. Speaking of Jazz Trombone Day guests, we have TJ Norris here. Hello, TJ. He'll be joining us at 4 p.m. on Saturday, 4 p.m. Central. Talk about his career, great bassist and trombonist. I said that backwards, trombonist and bassist. Whatever. But specific Count Basie tunes, I always make sure that students know about blues and Haas flat, things that are trombone features. There's a bunch of great Al Gray features that he plays. I love those, but they're not like ones that you would know. But there's a couple of videos of Don't Get Around Much Anymore, and the more I see you. Yeah, The More I See You. He plays those. Yeah, one of my favorites too. Although there's so many, but they're still doing them now. Like that. But that blue, there's a couple of like little trombone things where it's like if you don't know it and you have to sight read it, you're really kind of up the river without a paddle. That's the saying, right? Like because like for Basie it might be that, or it might be April in Paris. You need to know about like that ending thing, and then Braggin' in Brass, the thing for Ellington. If you don't know how to play that and somebody calls it and you bring it up, you're just gonna fold like a chair or something. Do I know of any trombonists that excel equally in classical and jazz and record in both genres? Yeah, I mean, I can think of a few, man. I don't know about equally, but I mean, my colleague here at UNT, Tony Baker, plays great jazz, and he is an amazing classical trombonist. He's like one of the preeminent players of Arthur Pryor's music, like by far, like amazing. Super amazing. And so there's one. Marshall Gilks is another. He plays some serious classical music. I don't know if he records classical music that much, but I guess if the Slide Monsters thing counts as classical, then yeah. But Marshall, super great. And I'm sure there's other people. There's Alex Isles, plays great jazz. He's a great classical player too. Those come to mind. Yeah. Anyway, hope that helps. Anthony, your favorite ones are Dum Dum and Cute. Yes, I know that they are tunes. I do know those. Now I'm thinking about more trombonists that play classical music and jazz. There's a great trombonist. He teaches. Where does he teach now? He just took a new job. Israel Butler is a great classical trombonist. He was doing his DMA at Eastman when I was, maybe his master's. I forget. DMA or master's at Eastman when I was going to school. And then, but in classical. But he's doing some gigs with the Count Basie Orchestra now. He does both. There's a guy, Joe Jefferson. He plays great jazz and classical. He teaches Missouri. Anyway, there's a lot of people, so there's no shortage. I, unfortunately, am not one of them. I would not put myself in that category of great classical music player. I haven't really done a classical gig in a long time. Not in a long time, that's for sure. All right, we're doing good on questions here. What's up? I see people joining. Reese, Sheriff, Sachs, thanks for dropping by. All right, we're good there. Great. All right. Well, let's give you guys a couple more minutes. If people have questions, feel free to drop them in. Otherwise, we'll keep on moving with the day, and we'll be back next week to chat more, talk more about jazz trombone, talk more about music, all of those type of things. But I will leave a few more minutes for people to drop in those last minute questions before we wrap it up for today. And that's all right. Sometimes these go long and sometimes they go short. It's no big deal. That's why we show up every week, right? Who's going to be at the Gen Conference? I've just been getting all that together. My band is playing at the Gen Conference in January. It's taking place in Dallas. I'm looking forward to that. My band is playing, and I'm going to talk about music business. I have a book coming out called Create, Connect, Repeat. That's going to come out next year. We'll be kind of talking about some of that stuff at the Gen Conference. So I'm looking forward to those two things, and I'm playing with some other people. It's going to be a fun one. From Mr. Mandalorian, do you recommend any particular exercises for salsa music? I think you mentioned something. Yeah, we were talking about the role of trombone in salsa music at some point, when it was last week or before that. I don't remember. But I don't know if I have a particular exercise. I think getting into a band and just playing, listening to the music. There's no particular exercise other than listening to the music to start to absorb. It's a different style of playing. It's not. It's more intense. It's a little more strong and maybe intense. The hardest part, the hardest transition for me from going from playing like quote unquote like jazz or big band music to reading like salsa charts is that they write them all in cut time. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them are written in cut time. And reading those rhythms in cut time was a challenge for me when I first started doing it. But it was always a lot of fun. I kind of like, if there's anything that I miss the most about like just gigging all the time, it was those salsa gigs. They were always a lot of fun. Because the trombone has such a great role in that music. Not that it doesn't in jazz, but it has a great role in that music, and people like that music more popularly than jazz sometimes. What's up, Brian? Let's see, from Anthony, if you had to pick a tune between either Wycliffe Gordon or Jay Johnson, which tune would it be? I love Wycliffe as a player. I would say that JJ's compositions are more memorable to me. Maybe it's just because I've listened to them more. Certainly Wycliffe writes great compositions as well, but of JJ's tunes, I love Say When, I love Shortcake, Lament is a great tune, of course, and I love the stuff that he did for that record, the Brass Orchestra, and he just had like a lot of iconic tunes. There's a tune I recorded of his on the Out of Focus record that's called Judy. That's another great one that I really like. He just had a really great sense of melody, and that's what carried him through as an improviser through all those years, is just that great sense of melody. There is a question from Taylor here. What are your thoughts on effective practicing in small chunks compared for practicing for hours at a time? Yeah, I think everyone has to find out what is the best use of time in their own personal practice. What I mean by that is that I think it's important to keep a practice journal for a while at some point and find out what's the sweet spot for you. When I was an undergrad, I used to lock myself in the practice room on Saturdays. I would lock myself in the room and just practice from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And I found that it wasn't that effective because I was just banging my head against the wall or wasting a lot of time. So I found for me, at Juilliard, I kept a practice journal, and the kind of 60 to 90 minute chunk 3 to 4 times a day was the most effective for me. But I didn't find that out until I kept a practice journal and really started to dig into like what is actually the most effective, not just like what is convenient, but most effective, and then that lets you kind of schedule an hour in here, an hour in there, and actually get some stuff done, in my experience at least. So hopefully that'll help you with your own practice regimen. I see some more people joining us. Hello, hello. Will there be any live streaming from cameras attached to slides during another trombone day. No, no trombones on slides. That would be fun, but no, I'm gonna set up. We're gonna have a couple angles set up, and but we're not gonna have any GoPros on slides. That just like is nauseating, really. Here's a question from Pete. He says, could you talk about the balance between playing with the band versus practicing alone? I suppose it's goal dependent, but coming out of COVID, my endurance is the thing I need to fix most. Oh yeah, me too, for sure. Yeah, the endurance thing post-COVID has been a nightmare. Even when I was playing on the live stream yesterday, it's ridiculous. Like, I'm like, how can I not play this 40-minute set without feeling tired, and I think that a lot of that just comes from, you just have to have the horn on the face. Just play. And so that comes from practicing, and also comes from playing. You just have got to play gigs, play big band gigs, play rehearsals, say yes, go play as much as you can. But there's other things you can do in your practice to work on endurance, like playing in the upper register, playing long tones in the upper register, playing long note melodies, ballad melodies in the upper register. Those sort of things that tax your chops, doing those things can help you to build that endurance back. But first I read your question meaning something different than what you were saying, because you're talking about endurance, not about like musically interacting with the band versus playing by yourself. But I think that's another thing, just like that interaction of musicians is something we miss. Yeah. Good. Well, Pete, it sounds like you're on the right track. Getting all the gigs, doing all the rehearsals, playing all the exercises, practice, man. Trevor has a question. Any advice for playing jazz quartet gigs? I've been doing a quartet gig for a few months now, but the rhythm section often goes into autopilot mode. What are some things we can do to be more musical? Well, I think there's a couple things that you could do. One is switch out the members of the rhythm section. Like if they aren't cutting it because they're not paying attention, you replace one cat or ask somebody to sub, and then all of a sudden people are like, oh, I got to get the gig back. That's one way you could do. That's one thing you could do. But the second thing is like making sure you're playing in a way that is musical. Making sure you're inviting them to contribute to the music always, on every tune. You're always inviting them, and then maybe asking them what tunes they like to play. Sometimes if you don't ask and you always tell, you're just acting too much like a bossy manager, and not like you're bringing them into the fold. Like, man, what tunes do you want to do? What do you want to play? Maybe you put together themes. If it's a monthly gig and you've got a different theme every month, and you play different stuff, or you focus on playing the same material every month and trying to take it to a new place, take it to a new musical place, or interact more. But I find that you as the leader have to invite the band in to participate in the music with you from the first note, because the rhythm section knows if you're listening. Just like you feel like they're not listening, if you wait too long to try, they're going to have already turned off, even from the count off, even from before the gig, even from interacting. I just think it's so important right from the beginning. If you just go right into like play all your stuff mode, they turn off, at least in my experience. So invite them in from the very beginning. In the planning, people will say, oh, I don't care what tunes, but they do care. Try to find out what some of their favorite tunes are, learn the tunes they like, play some of the tunes they like. Don't call the same tunes that they don't like over and over. Those are some things. Yeah, it's been a while since I've had a regular gig like that, man. I gotta get my touring coming back, man. It makes me sad when I think about it. I've let it slide. Any new books on my reading list? Have there been any new books? What's in here? My backpack is over here. I'm just looking at what I have in here. No, I don't have a book in there. There's an Adam Grant book that I'm going to try to read next. I forget what it's called, but it's new. And we have a copy at home, but I forget what it's called. That's what I'm going to read next. I've been stuck on this. I've got Marcus Aurelius' Meditations on my iPad, and I've been trying to get through that, but that's been a little heavy reading sometimes, or just like I mean, it's good. It's thought provoking. Excuse me, but sometimes I don't want to read that. You know. Excellent. Some really great questions today. Thank you, everyone. I'm glad for that. And John says we could get a GoPro sponsorship. I hope so. Maybe if we get enough trombonists with GoPros, they'll want to sponsor us. I actually don't have a GoPro. I've never owned a GoPro. I've got some camera gear, obviously, but I don't have a GoPro. I've never really gotten into motion, like a motion or live action photography stuff, needing all the like headgear and all of that. Although it could be interesting. It could be interesting to like wear a GoPro and like practice. Maybe somebody should do that. Start a YouTube channel of like practicing with so and so, and you just put the GoPro on your head and just like the warts and all, man. Like you just post like these practice sessions and people can see what it's really like. You know, I tell my students, I don't think they believe me, but when I practice, I'm usually sounding bad. You know, I don't want to sound good when I practice, because if I'm sounding good when I practice, then I'm not practicing, because that means I'm playing something that I can already do. So when I'm practicing, I want to do stuff that I can't do. Well, otherwise, what's the point? You're just going to play stuff you already know how to play? Maybe that's fine for you. But I like to sound bad when I'm practicing. I figure you sound bad when you're practicing, so you can sound good on the gig. Sound good at the performance. And sometimes you sound bad on the performance anyway. The trombone always wins. You know, Dizzy Gillespie used to say that about the trumpet, you know. So that piece of metal, it's always going to win. All right, I'm going to wrap it up for today and get some things together for Trombone Day on Saturday. Hope you can join us. Broadcast all day, sponsored by Con Selmer. Thank you to Con Selmer. We'll have Ido Mashul and Jeffrey Miller, TJ Norris, the Oklahoma State University Jazz Trombone Group, our Jazz Trombone Group, the YouTubes, and I'll be there playing a little bit too. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you all in the next stream.